All right, I am going to begin. We are recording. Welcome. My name is Matt Jonas. I'm the principal of Nicholas A. Ferry Middle School. I'm going to ask Mr. Skipworth, then Mrs. Hunt, and then Mrs. Tewksbury to unmute and show yourself and introduce yourself, please.
All right, well, hello, everyone. I'm Mr. Skipworth, one of the assistant principals here at the middle school.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Hunt. I'm the other assistant principal.
And my name is Caitlin Tewksbury, and I do the climate and culture at Ferry.
Perfect. So welcome to the orientation Zoom. Just to kind of give you a little bit of heads up why we're doing a Zoom. We typically have to present this 3 or 4 times, and oftentimes people can't make it. So we decided to do the Zoom because there's 4 schools feeding into this process, and we thought it'd be better to get the information out, record it, and then we can post it on our website and send it to all the parents. In addition, have a day tomorrow, if I'm sure you're aware, because you are the people that are on it. Tomorrow we have the open house here. We come any time between 5:30 and 7. We'll be most of us will be here, and you can walk the halls with your student. You can ask questions to us. We'll be around. We'll also have a question and answer at the end of this, but just wanted to preface that. So we are off and running. So what we're going to talk about today is kind of a general overview of classes and scheduling. Then we're going to talk about arrival and dismissal, because we are in a spot in Johnston or in our complex where we're compact. We have the district offices, we have the ECC, we have our building, and a lot of these times when everyone descends on the building, it's pretty busy. So that's a whole process in itself. I'm going to talk about the first day of school for 6th graders. And then we're going to talk about just the school at a glance. You're going to hear from all of us. And then at the end, we are going to do a question and answer. So I'm going to get going. All right. So we have an orientation on August 16th. There is 2 schools that are coming in the morning. I want to say it's Windsor and Barnes, but I'm not 100% on that. I can check on that when someone else is talking to review it at the end. But 2 schools are coming from 9 to 11, and then 2 schools are coming from 12 to 2. The reason I'm telling you that is during that time, we'll have a little bit more time to spend with the kids in a smaller audience. We're going to go over locks. We're going to give schedules, and hopefully Chromebooks, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And so the reason I'm bringing that up is because once a student gets their schedule, they're able to look in the top box and they'll see their homeroom. And if you look at that first writing on this slide, sorry, it's any homeroom that's homeroom 202, 203, 205, 207, and 208. They are now aligned with the blue team. And once you get the schedule, if your homeroom is 104, 105, 112, 113, and 206, then you're on the white team. And so the past couple of days, we've been meeting with students, and we will for the next 2 days. And we explained to them that what does a team mean? Well, a team means that your team is basically a location in the building. The white team is on the 1st floor for the 6th grade, and the blue team is above that hallway. So right when you walk in, to the right, if you could travel past the main office and to the right, that's the white hallway. And that's where homerooms 105, 104, 112, 113, and 206 are located. And then above that are the blue hallways. And what that means is basically 6 periods a day, they are in that hallway. So for the major core content areas, they have each student will have an ELA class, a math class, a science class, a history class, and a literacy class. Those 5 classes are in that hallway. So most parts of the day, students are traveling in that hallway, and they're traveling across the hallway or down the hallway a little bit. The 6th period is obviously homeroom. So homeroom, they'll be in that hallway also. So that's 5 periods a day there in that team hallway. So when the students travel out into the building, when they're taking their unified arts classes. Sorry, unified arts classes consist of chorus, general music, band. So that's a choice, one of those. And then we have physical education, geometry and skills, health, art, world language, and computer science. And those periods happen twice each day. So if you look next to those, if you're looking at the presentation, when you look next to those courses, you'll see 2 by 5, which means 2 times they have physical education in a 5-day week. 2 times they'll have geometry and skills in a 5-day week. 1 time health, 1 time art, 1 time world language. We are working with the schedule so that they'll have half semester Italian, half semester Spanish, with the hopes that the following year they'll be able to choose the language area that they want to take. The idea with 1 time in a week is to expose students to those classes, because we are working pretty hard on creating pathways for the 7th and 8th grades classes for them to choose something that they really enjoy and take it more often than 2 out of 5 days. Just to get through the travel part of that, these UA classes are all throughout the building. So these are the toughest classes for kids to get to because they are traveling. But we understand that. We've been welcoming 6th graders in our school for a long time. We know what a confused 6th grade face looks like. So there's constantly people in the hallway directing students to where they need to be. Just want to talk to you pretty quickly about the the on-team content classes. That's happening 4 times a week. And then one of those periods for each subject area, it's split between lunch and then there's a 25-minute intervention there. That might be hard to understand, but so we can ask questions about that. But basically, let's say I have ELA first period. I might have ELA first period, then I might have it 4th period, then I might have it 5th period, then I might have 6th period. And when I have it 6th period, I'm going to have lunch at the beginning of that, an intervention, which is a 25-minute block with that teacher for Thursday, and then it goes back to a full period on Friday. The idea of that class, just so you understand, is a short exposure to the teacher, and they might do things like warm-up activities such as freckle. The teacher might reteach something that they're noticing the students are having difficulty with, particularly in math, like fractions, and that's just a brief reteach period. Okay, so here's the schedule. This is what it looks like. Not the one that they'll have when we give it to them that August 16th there, but this is what we have them write in to help them understand. You can see the periods they rotate, but they're fixed. What that means is on Monday, every Monday from now until June, whatever, that's the Monday schedule. On Tuesday, that's the fixed Tuesday schedule, and then all the way through. So every Friday looks exactly the same. Lunch stays in the same spot. Lunch is from 10:30 to 11:03, and that is the entire 6th grade. So the reason we have the entire 6th grade, our original intention was to have lunches separated by teams, but as I said earlier, our building is connected to the Early Childhood Center, which some of you might know, some of your students may have attended, and the Early Childhood Center comes into our building for lunch between 11 and 11:31. So we weren't able to separate the teams the teams for lunches, but it's worked out pretty well with the 6th grade class that came in this year. And then you can see those interventions, right? So just to explain what I was saying, if you follow one throughout that 5-day schedule, you'll see it's first period on Monday, second period on Tuesday, last period on Wednesday. And then you see that it's the fourth period of the day on Thursday. And that's when that intervention and lunch would happen, just to help you get a better understanding of that schedule. Of course, you might have questions. We're going to save those to the end. And then we'll be here to be able to answer all those questions. All right, so let's talk about arrival and dismissal. I'm going to explain this, but I hope I don't make you sick. I'm going to travel to the vision. I have a picture version of this that might help you understand. So you would use Atwood Ave to pull in, especially at arrival. And I'll explain this why, because you're pulling in at the light and you're driving around the back of the building. The reason that is because right in front of the building, we face Atwood Ave, we face the courthouse, and right in front of that building, they're all lined with buses. So you're not going to be able to get by there. So we ask that you drive, if you're driving up Memorial, go all the way up Memorial around and pull in through Atwood Ave. Because otherwise you're going to get angry with me because you're going to get stuck behind the buses that are out front. Doors open around 7:41. We do open a little bit earlier, but on nice days we keep the kids outside. It's because at 7:40 the teachers are contractually supposed to be in their posts. We would never send students into the building without each of them having a place to be and having being supervised. So at 7:41 we open the doors. On inclement weather days, we try to wait as long as we can towards that 7:41 mark. And we let out we let some of the students in early because we don't want to create a traffic issue on Atwood Ave, but they will wait in the hallway until 7:40, 7:41 when the bell rings and everyone is in position to receive kids. You're going to see it if you're a drop off, if you like to drop your child off, you're going to see how the flow goes. Generally speaking, it's self-explanatory. On nice days, we ask, and you'll see this, but we ask that you let your student out off where the grass is and they can walk up to the door. That way the flow of traffic continues. But I'll show you that when I pull to the graphic. So at about 7:50-ish, we obviously will never shut the door in someone's face, but around 7:50-ish, we do divert all the traffic around the front. The buses are no longer there. We shut that door. And we travel the hallways as administrators. And bus drop off is, like I said, in the front of the building. And I'm going to show you all this. You'll better understand. Dismissal, buses line the front and the back of the building, and I'll show you in the graphic. And students have locations to exit. So we hammer this home, especially the first couple weeks of school, because it's confusing. And a lot of that's handled in the homeroom in the morning, especially those first couple of days where the teachers outline to the students what bus they're on and where they're supposed to go. All students that walk or are going to the library, they exit through the student exit location, which we will also explain to the kids, which I'll be able to show you. Just so you know, if you're picking your child up at 2:03, the traffic is heavy. It's like I said, it's a congested complex. So my advice to you is if you have to pick your child up at dismissal, then park at an alternative location, maybe the library or Memorial Ave, and have the student walk to you. That way you're not getting stuck in that parking lot. Oh boy. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay. So this is the graphic I was talking about. The red is the entrance for student drop off. You're pulling in through Atwood Ave. You're traveling along the building. Right where that arrow that turns, there's grass there. Right? That's where we say, if you let off, they can walk the grass line up to the door. That way the flow of traffic continues. If you're the first person here, you would be at the tip of the arrow at the corner of the building before the long arrow going out to Memorial. So let me see, can you see my mouse? Right here is where you'd pull to, and then all the cars subsequently line those arrows until we let out. The student walker door, right over here, right by this, where the driveway is, right over here, where the walkway is, that's where students will exit for student walker door. And you can see, there's not a lot of place to park here. This parking lot is generally full with teachers from both buildings and administrative staff. So meeting your child, out by Memorial Ave or at the library where my mouse is fluttering right now, that would be a good idea. So in the afternoon, you see those long, I guess that's aqua or turquoise or whatever it is, right? Buses come align the front. See how it's Memorial Ave, it's blocking that entrance to Memorial Ave, and they line the back. And that's where the buses depart from 2 locations at the end of the day. And then at 7:50, when that door closes right over by right here, you would pull around to the front where that aqua line is in the morning after 7:50 to drop your child off. Okay, so the first day of school for 6th graders. So because we have the orientation and because we have the access to Aspen and we send you a letter, so this is important, maybe mid-August, we'll send you a letter, hopefully mid-August, mid to late August, we'll send you a letter with your Aspen username and login. We send this most times it's for the first contact, but we also do sometimes include the second contact. Those letters will go out to you. You'll be able to log on, You'll be able to log on to that portal and you'll be able to see your child's schedule digitally. So whenever those letters go out, that's when schedules have opened. So anyways, so the first day of school, students are going to arrive how we just talked about, whether it's bus in the front or parent drop off in the back. And the hallways are lined with teachers and they're all helping the kids identify their homeroom, and we have lists of homeroom, and get the students to homeroom. There in homeroom is where a lot of the work happens. We extend homeroom, especially for the 6th grade, for a couple hours, and they go through the schedules again, in addition to the 16th of August. Go through the schedules, talk about some of the important things in the handbook. We hand out paperwork that's signed and returned as soon as possible. Lockers might be assigned that first couple of weeks, but we like to give that time because lockers are generally one of the areas where students have the most anxiety surrounding trying to unlock a coded lock. We do that during the orientation. We have videos, but I get when the pressure's on, the pressure's on. So we're generally pretty patient with that. If you have a student that is having significant difficulty, and we like to really push them into trying their best to do that. But if we have a student that is really having difficulty with it, we have smaller combo locks that we can provide. Those are limited though. So as far as the locks concerned, when locks are handed out, we do take a $5 deposit. We're dealing with middle school kids now, and sometimes they're not the most responsible. So we take a $5 deposit, and when the lock is kept on their locker and taken care of, then we give that $5 back at the end of the year. When they come, I'm assuming it's a Wednesday, or this slideshow is assuming that it's a Wednesday. It usually is, and they'll follow the day C, which is actually a Wednesday schedule. And then as far as the first day student lunch, they can bring their own lunch, but they'll also be able to buy their own lunch. And just to keep in mind, a lot of kids end up buying lunch if their parents say they're not supposed to and stuff like that. So we do, if your bill gets up high, we send you a letter. But they also, when we do not allow kids to charge snacks. So we have the My School Bucks, I'm sure you're familiar. We do sell snacks. We sell different drinks and snacks, and we don't allow students to charge that. So if they're just using their account, we always allow a lunch, but a snack is something we ask them to pay for because the bill can get up pretty high with the student just thinking everything's free just by typing in a code. So Chromebooks, we'll talk a little bit about Chromebooks. Chromebooks hopefully will be given to your child if they attend the orientation. I haven't confirmed that with our tech guy, But if you're not able to come to the orientation for any reason, maybe you have a vacation planned or something like that, we'll get the Chromebook too. But Chromebooks really, like what I tell the kids, what I am telling the kids the last couple of days, and will continue to tell them, is that the Chromebook is really their first major responsibility, right? As a school, we use the Chromebook quite a bit. It's a tool that we use often. We use Google Slides, Docs, Sheets, Classroom, all those apps that are connected to Classroom. And they're able to take the computer home. So we emphasize the responsibility of that, of taking care of that machine. What that means is, taking it home every day, keeping it charged, being ready to use the following day. In addition to responsibility inside the school. So we can't block everything. We block a lot, and we have levels of blocking. Like, we can really restrict the computer, or we can allow students to use the computer at a restricted pace, but but not completely restricted, right? So what I mean by that is there are math games that they go on. And so if teachers notice students are using games or whatnot, they could, that's a responsibility of theirs. Their responsibility is to be involved in the learning atmosphere and using their Chromebook in a responsible way. We have problems with it, but most times we don't, right? So like we have certain pockets of students that continue to use it the wrong way, and they're unfortunately consequenced and home is called. But we have many more students that do not use the computer in an irresponsible way. That's why we feel we don't need to restrict it to the nth degree. Right, so Mr. Skipworth is going to be here.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Jonas, and hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'd just like to take some time to go over some key elements in the handbook. It's pretty extensive, so we do ask that you take the time to look it over with your child when you have a moment. It's available online, but paper copies can be requested. The handbook is your one-stop shop for all things Ferry, and one of the key areas is in regard to discipline. There are several reasons we like to go over to give an overview of discipline at this time. The first is that middle school is a transition for everyone. For possibly the first time, your child is in a new building with new teachers and new students from other schools, and they have to figure out where they fit in. The second reason is that adolescence is a difficult time as it is, and they tend to push the envelope to see what's acceptable and what's not. I'm sure that if we all think back on our own middle school years, we can kind of figure out what I mean by that. The last reason is that sometimes students may put your expectations as parents on the back burner in favor of what their friends may think. Many rise above this pressure, but it does happen. So our job is to make sense of all those factors to maintain a learning environment all students can find success in. And the best way to do that is by keeping you in the loop like we are now. Next slide, please, Mr. Jonas. All right, so to address those moments, we've designed this pyramid. It has basically 3 tiers, and it reflects the core of our disciplinary system. Our goal is to recognize that students make mistakes, but there are opportunities to turn things around. We do our best to take into account the student, the situation, and your input when making our decisions. We never want to catch you by surprise, so that's why we seek your support. And I'm hoping that we can count on it throughout the year, because very often in school, like, when it comes to kids, if it's almost like a mom versus dad type of thing. We want to make sure that we are on the same page with you and that you are all on the same page with us in support of what we're trying to do here, which is give your child the best education possible. All right. As I said, we never want to catch you by surprise. And there are a couple of areas that I'm going to go over in a little bit. But if everyone puts their best foot forward, this pyramid is going to be something that you never have to worry about. All right. Next slide, please, Mr. Jonas. All right, so one of the first areas that we always, address is bullying. Bullying is not tolerated at Ferry Middle School. We would like to make the distinction that bullying is repetitive and is often an assertion of power over someone else. I point this out because sometimes students engage in some negative back and forth behaviors that would not constitute bullying, but nevertheless, the rule of thumb we use here is intent versus impact. All right. We tell the kids all the time that it's not what they mean by their behavior, it's how it's perceived and how it affects others. And that's why, whether it's a bullying situation or not, we will address, and I promise you we will, all instances where students feel unsafe or uncomfortable in school. Keep in mind that if incidents occur outside of school, we can assist in some ways, but we very rarely consequence students in school for behaviors outside of school, unless those actions have a direct impact on the school environment. All right. And oftentimes this can be the case with social media. We do not provide the students with social media. So our stance is that we ask them to tell their families first. And then if you feel that it's necessary, if you see something on there that's necessary to get us involved, then we will absolutely help. But we want students to know that their first point of contact should be mom, dad, or whoever it is at home that loves and takes care of them. All right. But if something does happen, what we can do is contact all parties involved to make them aware. We can direct you to the school resource officer if it's something that you believe involves the police or should involve the police, or we can offer your contact information so that you can reach out to the parties involved, and perhaps between you all, you can have a productive conversation. Next, Mr. Jonas. All right, the next area is cell phones. If you're like me, you want to be able to reach your child at any time. I get it. That's great. But as with any device, there are always those unintended side effects. The biggest of which is the distraction to learning here in the school. And that's kind of our stance on it. But suffice it to say, students don't always use their devices for educational purposes while in school, whether it's sending texts in class, making memes of other kids, Snapchatting. The newest thing is let's go in the bathroom and make TikTok videos. There are those things that definitely aren't okay. There are all things that we've dealt with, and they take away from everybody's number one job, which is to learn. That's why we do ask students to keep their devices at home or powered off and out of sight, preferably in their locker. In addition, having the phones away during the school kind of minimizes like any kind of social media drama that may be going on, whether it's something that was posted that kids want to share out. If they have the phones away, it's not going to spread as much. We also ask that if for your help with this, because it is kind of like a newer issue in school since phones have become more prevalent. We do ask that you routinely check your child's device to make sure that they're doing what you expect them to on it. There have been instances where students have downloaded apps that they're not supposed to while they're in school. And then the moment they get on the bus before they go home, I got to uninstall that so my parents don't know. So if you have like a Life 360 or, any of those monitoring apps, or even if you want to touch base with your cell phone company to see about limiting or restricting the device's capabilities during school hours, it could all help. Next slide, please. Thank you. All right, and the last area is attendance. We ask that your child be in school as often as possible so that they can get the most out of their ferry experience. Toward that end, if students are frequently absent, there are procedures in place, whether it's truancy or what have you. Likewise, there are guidelines for tardiness. We understand that life happens and are willing to accommodate, but please ensure your child is in school regularly. I know that discipline is the last thing that anyone wants to talk about, but kids are kids and they're going to make all kinds of choices, good and bad. This is our home and we welcome your sons and daughters to our ferry family. The policies that are in place exist to ensure that our home is safe and keeps all students focused on their education. So again, my hope is that we can count on your support throughout, because I believe we can continue to ensure that ferry remains a great place to learn and grow. Thank you.
Okay, hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Hunt. I'm the other assistant principal. Some of you I already know, and some of you I look forward to meeting. So this slide is about how we work hard and play hard here. We definitely do a lot of great things here at Ferry. We have a lot of different clubs going on, a lot of different initiatives, but we have to make sure that kids are in academic standing, good behavior and academic standing in order to participate in some of these things. For the things that teachers can do, they can give student shout outs. So they will recognize different students for different things. It could be for behavior, it could be for grades, it could be for some, a good score on a test. So it's different reasons, but teachers will give those to students. We also have team incentives where teams do different things with their groups and they have incentives for their kids. We give ferry snack passes a lot. Mr. Skipworth is known for this. He will give out many for different reasons as well, whether it be for kids who, are just always doing the right thing, kids who, helped out somebody else. So we give out a lot of ferry snack passes pretty much every day here. We have competitions among teams. Student council runs this a lot where they do different things with color days and they dress up and they do counts to see who can, the most with the team color. We also do competitions at dances. So that's something that we have here. And a lot of that is through student council. And I do recommend that kids get involved with student council here. We do have dances. Sometimes we have usually two throughout the year. And we do have an 8th grade dance at the end of the year as well. And then we have a Hero Month, which is the month of March that Mr. Skipworth and Ms. Tewksbury set up. We have different events that are scheduled throughout the month for that. We have Spirit Week, which again is about student council. They lead that and they do different things for dressing up and have different days that are allotted for that. And then we have fundraisers. Sometimes it's a team fundraiser and sometimes it is a school fundraiser. Okay, so for activities and clubs, we have a lot of different things where kids can get involved. Some of these do take place during the day where kids will work with the advisor at certain points during the day, and some of that is after school. So the first club is Above the Influence, and this is a club where students can get involved. They educate students about substance use, but they do a lot of different things. They do positive notes on lockers. They do different initiatives in the building. And so that's something that is typically after school, but we'll have announcements made for when they can sign up for that. Green Team, which leads recycling initiatives. We sometimes will have this depending on what's going on. We have a writing and drama club that kids can get involved in. And again, these are all things that can be, will be announced and that kids can sign up for and just join or go to the meeting. We have unified sports. And so we'll have players and we'll have helpers. And so kids, if they want to be a player, we'll reach out to them or they can reach out to us. And then for the helpers, lots of times we'll seek kids out who we know will be good role models. We have dances and competitions through our PTSO. We have the chess club that runs typically in the spring, I think. And so the advisor will have meetings every Friday. What day was it? I don't even remember what it was every week for that. We have Ferry News Live that Miss Wheaton, our librarian, runs. And she'll send out a form where kids can sign up if they want to do that. And then she can only have so many, so she'll swap off in the middle of the year. Again, student council with Mrs. Prater and Miss Page. We have Doubled Up Chess Club. And then the American Sign Language Club, where that was really successful this year and kids could learn how to sign. So for sports, we have girls and boys soccer, we have cross country, and we have cheerleading. And again, all of these announcements will be made where kids can sign up. We'll also send out emails. Typically, Mr. Chona sends out emails notifying parents of how to sign up. So you'll get all of these announcements through email. Just make sure we have your correct email on file. We have girls and boys basketball. We have wrestling. We have baseball and softball in the spring and track. And then we have a club volleyball team. Okay, so important dates. So far we have picture day scheduled in the fall, which is September 29th. And our open house and parent conferences will keep you posted on dates for that.
Sorry. Yeah, so the open house is generally later on in September. We usually have it on like a Tuesday. And then parent conferences, we try to get parent conferences to happen in November after the first report card. So that there's a meaningful conversation regarding that. Okay, so I think we've completed the presentation. I know while Mr. Skipworth and Mrs. Hunt were talking, I know that I was like, oh, I want to mention this. So, but I think questions generally at this point would help to get things moving through. I did see a couple questions in the chat. So if you have questions, please throw them in the chat and we will methodically go through them. Yeah, so if you have questions, please put them in the chat and we'll be able to start to answer them. Was that good? Presentation was that good? We didn't have any questions. Has 23-24 school calendar been approved? And when is the first day of school? Good question. Yes, it has been approved. Yeah, it's the 30th. Sorry. August 30th is the first day of school for all students. Okay, what time are students considered late? So when we shut the doors at 7:50, students are still entering. So basically at 7:55, 8 o'clock is when students are start to mark late. So yes, that's a good question. Just wanted to double check that the August orientation is just for the students. Yes, it is just for the students. Can my child bring their own combo lock for locker, seeing as there is a limited amount? So no, there's not a limited amount of regular dial turn combo locks. And we try not to use other locks because in the event of an emergency, we don't have the key to it. So we'll have to bolt cut it. So we have locks, and I want to be able to. We want to be able to provide them for you. That way, we can assume responsibility should we have to break it, or not break it, but cut it. The ones that aren't dial. So why don't you reach out to me via email, and we'll make sure that I'm going to put my email in the chat. We'll make sure that we have a combo lock for your child. Oh, that's twice. You can put your own email in there. Trying to think what are common questions that people have. So we are meeting with the kids, just so that you all know. We met with Windsor yesterday. We met with Thornton today. It's Barnes tomorrow, and then it's Brown Ave. And Brown Ave on Friday. And we're going through a lot of this with them. And we're pretty tough on them with the social media and the drama. That's been something that we've been noticing. And I'm going to get to your question. I just want to finish this. We are pretty tough on it because we tell them their job here is to learn. It's not to engage in negative behaviors with one another or to be negative towards one another. So we hammer that home. So we tailor the presentation for the kids a little bit more directly on stuff that's more specific to them. So when do we get supply lists of everything that we need? So I am the webmaster. So I will put those supply lists on. They're probably already on, but each summer I update them. So I would say I know that the supplies start going on sale like June 25th because the stores want to make money. But I would say if you could wait till mid to late July, I will have accurate supply lists up on that website. Oh, we got another question about the orientation. Yeah, the orientation is student only. You can just drop them off. You just drop them off and send them in, and we'll take care of them for those couple hours. All children, I'm sorry, let me read the question. Will children be assigned a counselor or an advisor? Yes. So we have two. So support staff is important to know, right? So we have two guidance counselors. Ms. Pizzullo and Miss Malari. Miss Malari is assigned to all students with the last name A through L. Ms. Pizzullo is our other guidance counselor, and she is assigned to all students with last names M through Z. Yeah, that's perfect, Fred. Thank you. And then we also have social workers in the building. We have 2 social workers, and I'm sad that we left this out of our presentation. I realized that Ms. Hunt was going over the clubs, but we also have a kindness crew, and that's led by one of our social workers, Miss Molina. It's really helped us to set a positive climate. They do nice things. They walk through the building. They'll put notes in teachers' mailboxes. They'll put notes to kids' home rooms, just saying positive things. And they'll travel in the parking lot. They'll go across the street and they'll put little Post-its on cars saying positive things. So I'm sad that we left that out. I'll be sure to put that in. Supplies are based on team. That's the next question. Supplies are based on which team they are on. Well, yeah, so we've tried to minimize that. That was a couple of years back. We've tried to make it grade specific. We're trying to align it more because there's really no need for 7 white to have 4 subject notebooks for ELA and 7 blue to have 2. So we try to make it pretty general for the grade. When do we know about the bus? The bus schedule comes out in the sunrise. I want to say mid-August, mid to late August, depending on how on top of it they are. Once the school gets it, you could certainly call, but usually the school will get it mid to late August. We are getting up, just to give you an insight into how this works, we'll even get updated lists moving into like the first day of school. That's why it's always a stressful, the first day of school. I always say it's a good first day of school if no 6th grader misses their bus. But sometimes that's a lofty task. But most times we do pretty well. How soon will the middle school receive 504 IEPs from the elementary to review? So 504s and IEPs will be trickling over. So basically how this works is the names of all your children are in a build view for us in Aspen. So we're building the schedule. Around July, I want to say 1st to 15th, that rollover occurs. And then we commit the schedule. We have all of those things electronically. And the principals will share them with us throughout the summer. But obviously, just so you understand, if you have any concerns about whether your child needs something moving into school or something that you're concerned with right now, you can shoot any one of us an email. Mrs. Hunt generally deals with 504s, but we're all able to answer any of those questions. Just to kind of give you I have a couple students that went through middle school. I have one currently in middle school. So I get like that first day of 6th grade is pretty nerve-wracking, but we're pros at it at this point, so I know that it's maybe a little nerve-wracking for you if you haven't had any children go through the middle school, but we're happy to have them and we got them. So, but if you have concerns about 504s, IEPs, you can email myself, Mrs. Hunt, Mr. Skipworth, or Ms. Tewksbury, and we sit in this office for most days after school and chat. So, and even during the summer, we're here. So in most cases, so whatever you need, we'll be listening and trying to help out. Are there inclusion classrooms on each team? Yes. Yep. So that's a really good question. It kind of leads me to another question. There's not once a year or twice a year, I'll get an email from a parent about teams. I'm gonna give you the 2 emails I get. One of them is someone's like, oh, my son or daughter came home and said that they're on the dumb team. So that's not something that exists. I laugh at it because that's just not happening. So there are inclusion classes on both teams. There's a variety of students on all teams. So there's not a situation where there's a team that's less academic than another. That's important for you to understand. Another one I get, and I'm glad that I'm able to speak about this, is and this is always a big one, right? That the schedules come out on August 16th, and my son Matt is friends with Fred, and Fred and Matt have been in elementary school for the past 5 years, and they've now been separated on teams. And then there's a bunch of anxiety that's kind of comes along with that. We always strongly, I'm going to try to say this the right way. We always try to block that switch. The reason being is we want students to branch out. We want students to be able to keep those friends, but also make others. That's a part of this, right? It's a part of the responsibility of becoming an older child and learning how to cope with things that aren't always perfect, you know? So I know it's hard for a parent, right? Like I said, I got 3 kids, and it's always tough when your child comes home nervous or upset, and we'll certainly obviously call or email. We want to talk about it. And we always try to do our best to make your child feel okay without switching their teams, if that makes sense. Anything that I'm forgetting, Fred, Lisa, that we get, or questions that we get for the start of the year that we should bring up? No, I can't think of anything. Unless there's any more questions, which I'll gladly stand here and answer questions, when we can end. But just so you know, you have our emails in the chat. This is going to be recorded. If you have questions, we want you to reach out to us, right? If you're feeling anxious as a parent in regards to your son or daughter coming into the school, call us. We'll listen. And just so you know, pretty much anything you have to say, we've heard, right? We've heard in the past, and we want to help. All right, last call for questions. All right. So we are going, yes, we're ready for anything. Oh, we're ready for anybody. Where can I find the recording? So the recording takes a second to come through. Once we stop the recording, it'll take a second. And then what I can do is I have to put it onto YouTube. And then I will share the link on YouTube. So once we push this recording onto YouTube and call it the Ferry or a Parent Orientation 2023, it'll go right into YouTube, and we'll share the link. Tomorrow night, is it drop in and come in? Yes, it's drop in and come anytime. And I don't want to oversell. I want you to come in. I'd love for you to come in with your student or with anyone that wants to come in. We will potentially have a couple teachers here, but not all. So you'll have to look at us again, but you can come by anytime. We'll be here. Questions. And I don't know if I said this, I might be repeating myself. I'm known for that. But if you have questions that you don't want to ask in the chat, that you have concerns about, email any one of us and we'll gladly answer back and try to help you. Thank you so much for attending. I appreciate it. I'm going to end recording now.